Everyone down in Detroit liked Christmas a lot, but Zim, who lived in his own house, did not. Zim hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one knows quite the reason. It could be that his gut was not easy to find. It could be that his pants fit too tight on his behind. But I think that the best reason to peruse would be that his brain had two screws too loose. But whatever the reason, his head or his behind, he stood there on Christmas Eve waiting, hating mankind, staring down from his room with a sour, irking frown as warm light lighted windows below in the town. For he knew that every human down in Detroit beneath was busy, now hanging up a mistletoe wreath.
"And they're hanging up their stockings,"
he said with a sneer.
"Tomorrow is Christmas.
It's practically here." Then he growled, with his irking fingers nervously drumming,
"I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming."
For tomorrow, he knew, all the human girls and boys, they'd wake bright and early, they'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, that noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise. Then the humans, young and old, would sit down for a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They'd feast on rice pudding and rare earth roast beef. To think they'd like such things was beyond Zim's belief. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every human down in Detroit, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand. The humans would start singing. And they'd sing. And they'd sing. And they'd sing. And the more Zim thought of this Earth Christmas sing, the more Zim thought,
"I must stop this whole thing. Why, for all these years, I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how?"
Then he got an idea. An awful idea. Zim got a wonderful, awful idea.
"I know just what to do."
Zim laughed in his throat, and he quickly made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. Then he chuckled and grinned.
"What a sly and trick. With this hat and this coat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer."
Zim looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop Invader Zim? No! Zim simply said,
"If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead."
So he called his bot Gur, and he took some red thread, and he zipped a deer suit to the top of his head. Then he took some old bags and Tupperware bowls to stir on a ramshackle sleigh, bearing songs from Gur. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the humans were dreaming Earth dreams without care. Then he came to the first little house on the square.
"This is stop number 1,
the Invader Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, which was quite tight on him, but if Santa could do it, then so could Invader Zim. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little earth stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, and around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums, and he stuffed them in bags. Then Zim very quickly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimbley. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the earth feast. He took the earth pudding. He took their roast beast. He cleaned out that ice book as quick as a flash. Why, he even took their last can of earth hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee.
And now, Zimgrim, I will stuff up the tree.
And Zim grabbed the tree and started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around and he saw a familiar face. The membranes had resided in this place. Zim had been seen by this tiny earth daughter, who'd come out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at Zim and said,
Santa Claus, why did you forget the guillotine? Why?
But you know that Zim was so smart and so slick, he thought of a lie, and he thought it up quick.
My dear sweet girl,
the Invader Claus lied.
We don't have a guillotine because of the workers' strike. So I'm taking this tree to my workshop, cute earth thing. I'll take it up there and cut it to your guillotine.
His fib didn't fool her, but it amused her to think of how Dib would react as she got her cold drink. When Gas Membrane went to bed with her cup, Zim went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. And the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar, leaving nothing but hooks and some wire. And the last speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was much too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other earth houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other earth mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, all the humans still abed, all the humans still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, the tinsels, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of a hill, he rode with his load all the way to the landfill.
Pooh-pooh to the earthlings, he was maniacally humming. They'll find out that no Christmas is coming. They'll be just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two, and the humans down in Detroit will all cry. Boo-hoo! That is a noise, grinned Zim, that I simply must hear.
So he paused, and he put his hand to where he had an ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and it started to grow. Zim! Shouted a boy's voice. Why, this sounded so scary. It couldn't be so, but it was scary, very. He stared down at the slopes. Zim popped his eyes, and then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. It was Dib, a boy, for his age was quite small, had arrived. Zim forgot that Dib would be coming. He came. Somehow or other, he came just the same. And Zim, who Dib pushed deep in the snow, sat puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so?
Then he got up and hit Dib square in the face with a snowball to keep him right in his place. But Dib stumbled backwards right to the ledge, and with one more step he fell over the ledge. But he landed safely in garbage. Don't worry about him. Instead, you should worry about our hero, Zim. And what happened then? Well, in Detroit, they say that Zim's loose screws grew looser that day. He laughed until he broke his back to a bough. Then he shrieked, "Christmas is dangerous! We must return it now!" So he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, Zim carved the earth beast.